New stream.
That's it, right?
New stream? Sure.
It worked.
Sign into the other one then.
This was the one with the clue, though.
How's it sound now, guys? Hopefully a lot better than last time. How does it sound now? Someone please let us know. Sounds good. All right. Let me tweet this out real quick. What up? Did you get it or no?
No, I'll try one more time. Otherwise, I'll just use my phone.
What up, everybody? Doo-doo. 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 Chris Lombardi, how's your week been? Has it been fantastic? Rough. Me too. At least tomorrow's Friday, man. Wish it was payday. That'd be nice.
All right, I'll just use my phone.
I thought it just worked.
I know. I don't know what happened.
If I do this,
Look,
stop. Go to this.
I just did that one. Ugh. I can use my phone. It's not a big deal. Let me just put stuff up. Yeah, it was logged in before. I don't know what happened.
You touched it.
Maybe.
You and your technically
my technical
unsavvy
touch.
hands. I don't know what I'm looking for there.
Maybe with a computer, but yeah, whatever.
Oh man, Chris Lombardi just found out he has to go into the office on Saturday.
Oh man, Chris, you're gonna miss the game?
That sucks. That sucks. So I'm putting it on Atlanta United FC fans, the Facebook group, and I'm just titling it Progress, Progress, Progress. I have a feeling there's a lot of people that are going to be crapping on that one.
Progress.
So we'll see.
Who cares about progress?
All right, you ready to go? Just keep trying intermittently. Maybe it'll.
I have everything up on my.
All right. Good to go?
Yes.
All right. What's up, Atlanta? This is the Mouths of South podcast brought to you by Dirty South Soccer in the palatial 680 of the Fan Studio. Different studio than the one we're used to typically accustomed to broadcast. Let me start over. That was awful.
God.
A little bit of behind.
Ask me if I'm ready.
What's up, Atlanta? This is the Mouths of South. What's up, Atlanta? Sorry. Hold on.
What the heck is going on?
What's up, Atlanta? This is the Mouths of South podcast brought to you by Dirty South Soccer in the palatial 680 of the Fan Studios, a studio we're not typically accustomed to broadcasting from. This is a different studio because next door they're doing the NFL draft show, and I have a feeling that we're going to get more numbers than them.
Really?
On the stream, they've got about 55 viewers. Right now we got 10.
So
let's make it happen.
About 20% of the way
It's
there.
a good thing that soccer's more important than the NFL draft, right?
The NFL draft.
Oh, yeah.
What a bunch of dorks.
So, yeah, send it to your people. Get them going.
The draft.
Link it to Facebook, to Twitter, to YouTube. Well, not to YouTube, to Instagram, all that stuff. Get it. Link to friends. I've got a problem with you.
Oh, great.
You and I have issues.
Great, right away.
We've got beef.
We just started.
Can we talk about yesterday for a second?
I haven't even done anything wrong.
No, you did,
well, I mean, computer.
You did something pre-show, pre the start of the day, even.
Okay, go on.
Can we talk about it for a little bit? All right, so we got the radio show yesterday, 7 to 8 on Atlanta Sports X, 12:30 a.m., 106.3 FM, 7 to 8 Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And you didn't show up.
I didn't show up.
Well, and you weren't. You
you
weren't supposed to show up. You actually had told us that you weren't going to make it to the radio show, but we were supposed to do the podcast right after that.
That's true. And
about 7:30, so mid-show, we're in the middle of a segment. We see in our Slack channel, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be able to make it."
You guys were very responsive, by the way, for being in the middle of a segment.
Oh well, us radio folks, we're really good.
You weren't focused enough on the show.
Us radio folks are really good at multitasking like that. Anyway, 7:30. You're sending a message saying, "I'm not gonna be able to make it, guys."
Because I was offered some cash money to cover a coaching session.
You want to talk about how much?
A colleague of mine. What do you? Well, no.
Do you want to talk about how much?
I was offered $50.
And how much did I offer you to do the podcast after that?
And then Eric offered me $75. I said, first of all, I'm worth much more than that as a podcaster. a coach, $50. But as my insight in here is worth much more than $75. So you tried to lowball me, man.
All right, guys, on Twitter for this week, instead of doing emojis or anything like that, we got to figure out what Josh Bagriansky's worth is. How much would you be willing to pay?
Hashtag Josh worth.
How much would you be willing to pay for Josh Bagriansky to show up to a podcast as opposed to take $50 to take over a training session?
Well, I do it for the kids, I already tried to teach you lot soccer, and you're all miserable. So I'm trying with the youth instead. I gave up on all of you. You're all, fired DeBoer after 5 matches. So
who's fired DeBoer here?
I have to go teach.
Who's fired DeBoer here?
That's true. We're going to get into that. We actually pretty much agree with that. Are you going to go see Avengers?
Tomorrow night?
Just flip it real quick. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Everyone's going to see this movie.
The thing is, I'm not big into superhero movies.
Same.
I'm just not I still haven't seen Black Panther. And I'm sure for some of you guys, that's like a travesty.
Nominated for Film of the Year, if I remember correctly, from the headlines I saw on the internet.
I was happy it came on Netflix. I threw it on once, and I lost interest in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not big into the superhero movies either. And, overpopulation is do you know the plot of the overpopulation is a real problem?
Have you seen the Journey Guidestones?
Yes. Yes. I thought, look, I'm just being straight up. I think Thanos' idea isn't terrible. Just to randomly off half the people in the earth. You hear a lot of issues with the environment, overpopulation, and then you have all these superheroes with unprecedented obstruction trying to kill the guy and presenting no alternatives of their own. So I'm Team Thanos, who at least has an idea to solve the impending overpopulation crisis we'd have on this planet. So don't hate on Thanos, who at least came to the table with an idea, and then these folks are just trying to kill him. Come up with an idea of your own, at least.
All right, so can we just offer you as victim 1 to this idea?
Victim 1?
Sure, because that's ultimately what you're going to be.
No, I have a 50. I mean, it's 50-50. I'm just saying it's not a terrible idea.
Okay, you and me, who goes?
Either way, everyone wins.
Jeez, Josh.
That's all I think. I'm Team Thanos. So when you go see the movie, shoot me a DM on Twitter and just give me the spoilers, because I'm probably not going to go see it, but I am interested in how things resolve themselves. Anyway, that's my take.
Someone on the YouTube stream goes, "Man, that got dark real fast, Josh."
Well, look, I'm just saying Thanos has an actual solution to a real problem, and we shouldn't criticize him for that. He's trying to make the world a better place.
All right, well, Josh in favor of the bad guy in these kind of.
I'm in favor of ideas and solutions, and he's the only one.
This is not a solution. It
is. You just off half. I mean, how do you cure overpopulation without some sort of super ethical problem? You just randomly kill half people. No preferential treatment. Just half the folks die, and the world is a better place for it.
Jenna says #Josh out.
Jenna, I'm open to other ideas. But we've got an issue with the environment, and at least one man is trying to solve it. The great Thanos.
So here's the other issue I have right now.
God, you have lots of issues. Okay?
I 2 that I wanted to bring to the table.
Well, I got issues.
I feel a little. I think we should feel a little disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Okay.
You mentioned you took the $50 yesterday. You took it and ran. Didn't do the podcast, but you did it for the kids.
Of course, everything for the kids.
Soccer in the Streets had a thing for the kids. They brought a bunch of the podcasters that exist in the Atlanta United, realm.
Mm-hmm.
What was our invite?
Do
people not like us?
I blame Sam. Let's be real.
Do people not like us? Are we one of the a-hole podcasts? I'll say it, asshole podcasts.
I don't know if we're that. I don't know. I feel
did I rub people the wrong way?
No, I think we live in our, we're
2017.
Maybe it's the Tito stuff, or that you talked to Martino out, or that you've ruined the season.
I want him to stay.
But no, I know we love all those guys. I think we're kind of.
I'm kidding.
We're kind of in the Dirty South soccer world, Like I feel like there's our podcast is a little different because we're associated with an established media entity already.
We're one of the OGs.
We're the OGs, right? Exactly.
I'm pretty sure
and thus we're lazier because we already have the way to broadcast our voice through the great folks at DSS, so we don't have to do all the work that.
Awesome.
We don't have to put in Jay Riddle hours.
That's true. Well, there's no way we could do that.
I did listen to some of the podcast-a-thon they did at Reraw, and it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff.
Does great work and all that. But we would like to be included next time. You don't have. Sam doesn't have to be there. Okay. So.
You think that really is it? Just Sam is.
No, it's not me.
All right.
Can't be me.
All right, Atlanta.
Hey, look, if you took Thanos' idea, 50% chance.
Well, now you're definitely not getting invited.
Well, I guess we're out. Okay.
All right, Atlanta United loses to FC Dallas 2-1 in a match that obviously on paper looked like Atlanta United won every statistical category that you'd want to win in a soccer match. Going down 2-0 or 2-1 over the course of the 90 however many minutes was played. First goal comes in the 6th minute, I think it was.
Real early.
And then the second, and then the 83rd, 84th. And both goals, just serious lapses defensively. Both goals, I put a lot of blame on LGP.
The first one in particular.
For the first one, because it's just such – and look, we love LGP for his aggressiveness defensively. We loved some of the dangerous tackles he does attempt. And oftentimes he does succeed in those attempts. Mm-hmm. This time it kind of bit him in the butt. The second one, I watched him the whole way, and I'm in the press box, so I have a different angle from TV. There's obviously a section right below me that has the same angle I have, and I'm watching him look at the eventual goal scorer, and I forget who it is at the moment. I'm watching him run by him, and I see LGP looking at him as the runner is behind him. And I can't believe that he's just letting him run by him. And sure, put the blame on everybody else. And look, I'll I guess lessen the extent to which I blame LGP, because after 90 minutes, tired legs, that stuff happens. You're trying to get one to at least salvage a point from the match, so you're pushing more guys forward.
Yeah.
But still, for LGP to, I don't want to say give up, but to let him run past him like that as easily as he did, without much of a challenge, without much of a fight, drag him down, do something. Like at that point, who cares?
Yeah, I thought the second goal, though, to be fair to him, it's tough to defend a runner through the middle when the dude has a 20, 30 yard. He's already, from where the run started from Acosta from so deep, it's hard for Pires to get to the speed he needs to get goal side of him and block the cross. I thought the second goal was just much more about the counterattack.
No, and it was. But there was still an opportunity to keep it 1-0, and then think of the penalty you did have after that, where at least you would have salvaged a point out of this match.
I actually more so criticized Darlington Nagbe for giving the ball away on the second goal. I think you lose the ball in possession, your fullbacks get caught high, where they go straight down the wing, and we've seen that a million times this season. I thought the Dallas match, I
will say the two goals that were scored. This is sound dumb, but it's a very minor aspect of the game, because what we're essentially going to sit here and talk about is all the chances that Atlanta United did create.
Yeah.
And how if you succeed in those chances, if you convert in those chances, then you're looking at a different mindset from FC Dallas, from Atlanta United. Maybe you're up 3-1 at that point, and you're not worried about the second goal. You're not pushing this far forward.
Would you give an early goal like that?
Yeah, that to me is if I'm still looking at this game in that 3-game box from the Revolution to Dallas to Colorado on Saturday, I'm looking at this game as a whole and not really too worried about the score, knowing that progress, which I know we all hate to say now, progress is still kind of happening at the moment.
Let's start, I think, because we're trying to go more big picture. The game was, 5 days ago at this point. What do we draw a big picture from that? I think so. Yeah, we'll go through the positives in a second. Let's start with the one, I think, real negative that we've seen where we haven't seen a lot of progress is I think you do continue to see this team just look too open, conceding on the counterattack. I think throughout the season, we've seen Atlanta United able to control the ball in the opposition half, but for some reason, very vulnerable to counterattacks. And I actually went back and looked through a lot of the goals. There's a lot of similarities, but there's nothing tactical to what we're getting wrong. The reality is we've seen Gonzalez Pirez on 3 or 4 separate occasions make an individual error that you're already opened up on the counterattack, and he comes in too aggressively and we get exposed in behind. That's been the trend, I think, in terms of big picture, what's been bad. Defensively, just too open. I mean, if you look at the chance, Atlanta United is not conceding a lot of chances, but the chances they're conceding are very, very high percentage for the opposition. And that's pretty much what we saw against Dallas. Both of those opportunities, counterattacks, balls squared across the face of goal, touch and finish. Simple as that. We've seen that happen too much this year. And the one trend I do see is, as you just kind of mentioned, Eric, is Leandro Gonzalez Pirez being overly aggressive at the wrong time, and that kind of resulting in you getting burned in the other direction. Another example of that is the equalizer against Cincinnati, where he's overly aggressive and allows the team to, allows things to open up in behind him by stepping too early and being too aggressive. So he needs to find a way, and I think he will, because he is an aggressive player, and you don't want to take that out of his game, but he needs to pick his spots better. And this is something we've been critical of him in the past. And last year, it felt like after the Houston match, the opening match in 2018, where he was had an absolute nightmare. It seemed like after that, we saw a more consistent side of LGP. And now kind of this season so far, looks like he's reverted back a little bit. And we see what a difference it makes just when one player is overly aggressive, not performing well as a defender. Just one player not doing his job, and you're opened up in behind. So that's the big trend I see is defensively, how do you stop conceding these big chances on the counterattack? So much of it has to do with Leandro Gonzalez Pirez simply performing better as an individual.
Yeah, I can't put too much. I know some people wanted to put blame on Brek Shea, specifically on the first goal.
No, not at all.
That's
pretty ridiculous, honestly.
On that one. Michael Parkhurst, I could see where you could put some blame on him, and I do put part of the blame on him for maybe not tracking back as fully as he should have. But I do think that Michael Parkhurst is under the impression in that moment that Miles Robinson is in a fantastic position to intercept any ball coming that way.
The reality is, people have to realize, for defenders, it's hard to chase after a guy when the midfield player is able to relax and pick out the ball in behind. When there's a guy making a run at you full speed, and the player on the ball who's going to play that runner with a pass in behind has time to pick it out, then there's really nothing that you can do. I mean, Michael Parkhurst was never going to beat Ferreira to the spot on that first goal, ever, not in a million years. It all starts from allowing Barrios, who, by the way, we talked about a lot in the lead up in the podcast last week, his danger. Once Barrios turns LGP, if he plays the right pass and you get the right finish, there's nothing you can do defensively. And to me, that goal, it's on the one hand, it's one of those things. You pressed higher, being aggressive. They broke the press. They went and scored. But to me, it's Pirez's mistake alone that allows the opportunity to come. Brek Shea is not able to get back in time. If LGP is going to step and let a guy behind him that quickly, you can't expect Brek Shea to cover 30 yards of ground from an attacking position.
And let's be clear, George Bello, Franco Escobar, they're going to be in the exact same positions that Michael Parkhurst and Brek Shea are in. That doesn't, just because they're in the match, doesn't automatically mean that they're going to be deeper in those situations. Brek Shea is in the exact spot he's supposed to be, given
exactly
where the ball is in the field, the specific moment. Michael Parkhurst the same way. Bringing in George Bello, bringing in George Bello, bringing in Franco Escobar, that doesn't change how the first goal goes down. And it also doesn't change how the second goal goes down, because again, 1-1, 1-0. You're still looking for a chance to salvage a point out of this match. You're still going to play. You're still going to push Franco Escobar, George Bello up high to see if you can't get numbers in the attacking third. You're still going to try to push forward as much as you can. you're still going to have that ball played over the top. You're still going to have Miles Robinson pushed to one side. You're still going to have the guy, Acosta, making that run from deep. You're still going to have LGP running not as fast as he should be. That doesn't – Franco Escobar and George Bello does not change the outcome of this match, in my opinion.
I know Brek Shea is an easy target, and he hasn't been great this year.
People are playing into the narrative of him being a bad player every week. And when they notice he gives the ball too easily, it's like, oh, there it is. And it might be once or twice in the match, but he might do 3 or 4 other great things throughout the course of that match that people forget about.
I'm not super high on Brek Shea's
I'm not either, but I think
performances this year.
I think he's a better version of McCann.
Not defensively.
Sure. But I didn't think highly of McCann defensively
coming in. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, that's when Mikey Ambrose gets fit, that's his job to lose on the left. But I think Brek Shea, to blame him for the 2 goals just because they came down the left, I think lacks a little bit of perspective. Because like you just said, Eric, tactically, and Tata Martino won the exact same thing when he played with a back 4, you want your right and left back to go forward. So if you get in possession and the team tries to counter, what are they going to do? They're going to bomb a ball into those wide areas where your fullbacks have gone forward or attack those wide areas, and then that's how they're going to score. You can't expect your left back to go up and attack and somehow make 50 yards of ground recovering when it's as direct as it was. So, I mean, to me, you just got beat on an area where teams are always vulnerable when they're attacking and trying to take it to the opponent. If you're playing a back 4, your outside backs are going to go up. Those spaces are going to be open. That's just the reality. It was a tactical deal, not so much an individual mistake from Brek Shea. And I just think in general, I mean, we're reaching a point where I think you're seeing the blame game. When things go wrong, people already have their targets they want to kind of go after. And Brek Shea, for a lot of reasons, is one of those people. The manager is always going to be one of those people, obviously. I think I'm not here to defend Brek Shea. I think defensively he's done some things that really bothered me. Sometimes I think he's a little bit too relaxed in possession. Like I said, I think that's Mikey Ambrose's job to lose, and hopefully George Bello when he gets back fit as well, because Brek Shea's just not giving you the defensive work you want. But I think there seems to be a tendency to almost blame him for everything, because it's easier to blame Brek Shea than to say, what's our stalwart center back Leandro Gonzalez-Perez do. It's easier to say, what's the new guy doing who dresses funny, and
it's funny.
It's easier to go after Brek Shea.
It's funny to think that most of the blame being tossed around this team are all on the new guys.
Yeah,
the guys that have not been here since the beginning. And guys, I gotta tell you, change is gonna happen. So this is something you have to get used to. New players coming in, new players that are going to need time to adapt to the system. I'm not saying that they haven't had enough time, but and we'll get into this later. But just banging on Frank de Boer, you're banging on him because he's the new guy. Yeah, ultimately, that's what it is.
And I think it's, to be honest, blaming all the new people, whether it's player or manager, is also just an incorrect take, because as we just said, a lot of your mistakes have been LGP defensive errors. Joseph Martinez has missed a lot of chances this year that he would normally make. I mean, Pizzi Martinez is new, but you haven't gotten what you've wanted from him. I think you've seen rough patches from Eric Rometti, Darlington Nagbe, Jeff. I mean, you can go all the way down the line. The guys you've relied on in 2018 and 2017 have not been at their best until these last couple weeks, with maybe the exception of an Ezequiel Barco, who's been quite good this season. But you haven't seen I don't think anybody would disagree with this. We haven't seen the best of Perez or Parker, other than maybe Miles Robinson you've seen the best of. But for the most part, it could be because he didn't have a long off season. You went straight into CCL, not a lot of break for these guys that were with us last year. But blaming Brek Shea or even Frank de Boer, I think is not only is it not reasonable, it's wrong. The people who are really struggling are the people that were the foundation of the team last year.
Let's talk about the chances created from Atlanta United. I went back and watched. I rewatched the match, and I watched the extended highlights. And I think that while a lot of chances were created, I think we got to get out of this mindset as a fan base that we're going to create the same sort of chances that we're creating with Almiron.
You got to forget about a lot of things.
Not just because it's Almiron, but it's the kind of chances that Joseph Martinez specifically got. He's not going to get those through balls anymore. That's not going to happen anymore. Not as often as he did last year. Mm-hmm. The entire match, he had it's a specific defender defending him, and if Abel, they had 2 guys on him. That's going to create problems for any striker, specifically Joseph Martinez, who depends so much on that through ball, on that pass. He's not going to get the same looks he got before. He's got to find a way to adapt his game to what he's been presented as an attacker.
Well, it's easier for a player like Joseph Martinez when you have a 10 or a second striker or whatever in Miguel Almiron who can cover a ton of ground and is also just willing to just run at people and try things. So you can just focus on scoring.
He draws
goals.
the attention and he opens up space for Joseph Martinez. There's no one that can do that with Atlanta United now. So we got to get out of this mindset of that's how it's going to happen. Because I feel like that's what everyone's expecting, and that's not something that's in the game plan for Atlanta United anymore.
I still think,
it can happen. Golden State, what is their bread and butter?
Shooting threes.
Pop it outside and shoot a three.
Yeah.
The bread and butter for Atlanta United last year was through ball to Joseph, get him behind.
Also you're getting wide and crossing the ball in, but everything was through Almiron. He was starting the attack. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was him directly playing Joseph in behind that led to chances, but I do think the attention that he drew and his willingness to try things is something that Atlanta United miss. But the big difference for me with Joseph, aside from not having Almiron, is just, again, the tactical difference is that he's expected to drop deeper and get involved in the build-up, which I think he's excellent at. And I think we will I don't see him scoring as many goals as he did last year, maybe more assists. But the big difference, I think, with Joseph, aside from Almiron being gone, is just what Frank de Boer expects of him is to be involved a little bit more in the build-up, in possession, and holding the ball, and not necessarily a guy that's just going to sit on the last defender and look to poach. So that's a big thing with Joseph Martinez too, is that I think the chances that he's getting are, I don't want to say they're not as plentiful as last year, but I will say that I don't think he's going to have as many chances to score as he did last year, just because he's asked to drop deep, and you're going to see a lot of those goals, hopefully go to PT, go to Barco, go to Tito Villalba, and hopefully that's what you'll see. Those 30, what was he score? 34 last year?
I forget.
Something like that,
33.
yeah. 33, 34. Hopefully those goals will now be spread around the rest of the team in attack, and that's just something Frank de Boer wants to do different from a tactical standpoint.
How'd you feel about Barco? Frank de Boer saying that it was
amazing.
his best match.
Yeah. I think
best match this season so far. I kind of find it hard to disagree. I thought, and I knew as soon as Frank de Boer said what he said, in terms of not being able to score the goals himself, in terms of it being the best performance from Atlanta United, despite the 2-1 loss, I knew he was going to get heat for that. I knew people weren't going to understand what he was talking about. I knew people were going to look at the scoreline and see 2-1. That's the best we've played. We've won games. And I'm like, but you got to look at the overall performance. The fact that they created, they were able to take 22 shots. Mm-hmm. The fact that they created as many chances as they had. We literally have not seen that up until this point. We have not seen that kind of dominance from Atlanta United this season up until this point.
What about New England? I think that you dominated more in New England.
But you didn't create that many chances. You took advantage of the opportunities you did
not
have.
Many shots, yeah.
But you against a team that was playing with you, against a team that's better than New England. And let's be real, New England sucks.
Yeah, I think that's more to do with it. Yeah.
You created as many chances as you possibly could, and you just had a day. And I know this is going to be. It is an excuse. You had a day where you walked in as a professional athlete and just couldn't finish.
It's a big part of it. Yeah. So
you had a Tito Villalba with essentially a tap in from right outside the 6 that he shanks off his left foot. How many did Joseph have that he kind of mishit? You had 3 go off the frame from Barco.
3, just
3.
2.
You had 1 go off the crossbar. You had 2 go off the post.
Oh, I didn't only see the post 3 times. Oh, too much.
There was 2 off the post.
Yeah.
1 off the crossbar.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
You can't. You can't ask for more, sure. You can't ask for them to score and finish, but you're going to have those nights.
You can't give up that. I mostly agree with you, Eric, but when you can't, giving up that early goal is the more unforgivable thing, because then that is what allows you. That is what allows the chance of it being one of those types of nights, is to fall behind. So I look back at and I thought the first 15 minutes Dallas were much better. So I look back at the way Atlanta United started. And, we can sit here and say, yeah, unlucky, we did create a lot of chances. And I will sit here until I'm, blue in the face and say, I saw progress last week. I saw the team executing what Frank de Boer wanted to do much better than what we've seen. But you're still, yes, you're unlucky, but I still think you're masters of your own demise by coming out so flat and giving up that early goal. And I would be fair, to Dallas.
Maybe you're less desperate. You find better opportunities. You draw attention. You're able to take a. Sorry, there was a lot of yelling next door. Did you hear that?
Did the Falcons just trade up or something?
I guess they just did something.
Someone started screaming.
But maybe instead of taking those shots, Barco finds maybe a player that's more open, that has a better opportunity. I don't know. But maybe the fact they were down 1-0 had a lot to do with what looked like more forced shots, forced opportunities, forced decisions, or maybe rush decisions, as opposed to a better. I don't know.
No, there's
looking for the
human
better
nature,
option.
right? There's more pressure on you when you're trailing, and I would play devil's advocate on the chances as well, because, and I'm not saying I didn't see progress, but let's be real. The shots at the post from
at some point you got to score goals and you got to win games. Yeah, I'm not denying that.
I would say the only huge chances you created were the Joseph sitter he misses right after you go down 2-0. Obviously the penalty, and then Joseph had that volley from a corner kick where Jesse Gonzalez got down and saved it. But you can't I know Ezequiel Barco is unlucky hitting the post, but you can't expect him to score from 20-25 yards every match, And then I look at the other Jesse Gonzalez saves. He's usually getting two hands on him. The Tito chance is a good one to bring up because he missed the frame completely. So to me, yes, you were creating, but if Ezequiel Barco's, if those three long shots are skied, as they often will be, we're going to be looking back at this match once again saying you didn't create enough big chances to score. So I think that would be the other side of the coin is, you were unlucky that Barco's shots didn't go in, but if they did, we wouldn't be saying, oh, he scored 2 or 3 goals he should have. We'd be saying, wow, 2 or 3 world-class strikes, and you can't rely on those to get goals every week. So again, what I think you're seeing is at times is teams getting behind the ball successfully, and now we're starting to see Atlanta United create chances, but again, it's with bodies in front of you. It's with, it's not on the break. The types of goals we saw Dallas score, we haven't seen Atlanta United really do that all season long. So I think, again, you're in possession. I don't know if you're playing too slow or what it is, but the other team has been able to successfully get behind the ball and make your shots a little bit more difficult. So it's a step in the right direction, but I want to see more clear-cut opportunities against Colorado this week.
Part of just the mindset, I think, of just wanting to possess the ball much more often than.
But that doesn't mean. That doesn't mean
I'm with you on
you're
that.
not going to create bigger chances. Yeah. So and that's why I think Barco, particularly with what we just mentioned him, with Almiron leaving, Barco has slid into that role as the guy who is willing to say, okay, you're going to bunker. I'm still going to go at you and try something and see if it comes off. And I think that's why he's looked so good this season, is he's been the guy that's been trying to grab the match by the scruff of the neck and drive the team forward. I don't think he'll ever be as successful as Miguel Almiron was, but he's the guy that I think has tried to take some of that on his shoulders. The problem is Almiron was so good he could do it all on his own. It's crazy because he'd cover so much ground. He could start from the left. He could start from the middle.
But it was particularly only on the counter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but he was good in possession too.
I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm not saying he wasn't. But think of the best moments for Almiron, and they were typically on a counter.
And this is a funny one that people make a big deal. Oh, Atlanta United should be playing attacking soccer. Exciting soccer. I remember this team winning MLS Cup playing a 5-3-2, counterattacking through Miguel Almiron, which might have looked exciting, but it was an exciting tactic.
So it was exciting because we were in the moment.
It's a funny take to me that
we were in the moment. We were
exciting,
all emotional about the situation that we were presented as a team going into the playoffs, succeeding in the playoffs, going into MLS Cup. But you're right. It was very boring.
It was
exciting because it was
pragmatic,
the playoffs.
And it was exciting in that when you counterattacked, it was Miguel Almiron and Joseph Martinez going at 4 or 5 defenders, which is really fun to watch. But that's not a super attacking, aggressive setup. So it's just a weird take for me. Where do you stand on De Boer right now? Obviously, we don't want De Boer out.
I'm still processing. And look, even if he doesn't succeed, this block. Remember, it's the Revolution, FC Dallas, which. The result obviously wasn't there. I still am happy with the way they played.
And I give you credit, Eric, because a couple weeks ago you did say, if maybe a result, we were saying, okay, we're going to judge over the New England, Dallas, Colorado stretch. And you said maybe if particularly the Dallas result doesn't go your way, I'm looking more so for performance. Right. So if you get the 3 points that you should get against Colorado this week, and I think it's still a decent 3-match stretch here.
And let's be real. Given the Atlanta United didn't do themselves any favors by not converting their chances. But at the very least, they should have come out with a draw in that match.
Oh, totally.
Right? Okay. So we're not wrong in saying they've progressed substantially from day one to now. And that this new system is finding its legs. that Frank DeBoer is finding his legs with his team. He's had more of an opportunity to take a look at where his pieces best match up.
Yeah.
I think I heard Devin talk about how it's
who?
8 different Devin for real.
Oh, the real Devin.
Devin
for real from
Atlanta Fan TV.
Yeah.
Check him out if you haven't checked him out. I think he was mentioning 8 different lineups and 8 different matches or something like that. I forget what exactly
Devin
it was.
for real has been for real upset. For real.
But no,
he had a rant.
That lets me think that he's still trying to figure out this lineup. He's still trying to figure out where the pieces fit best.
It's just
I'm not.
That's a weird criticism. There's been injuries all year.
Look, I'm not with Devin in the sense that he's all fire Frank DeBoer. Yeah, Devin for real. I'm not firing Frank DeBoer. I think he's here. I'm pretty convinced that he's here for the season. And even if he's not, let's say even if he is and he struggles, at what point are we putting the blame on Darren Eales? At what point are we putting the blame on Carlos Bocanegra? Well, at what point are we putting the blame on the entire front office for not being better situated going into CCL with a right back that some kind of right back replacement,
and in retrospect,
with more depth at left back, with more depth across the field in general.
And in retrospect, you could criticize at left back because you really miss Greg Garza over there, and you decided to trade him for allocation money. So we might look back on this and say you've made some big personnel mistakes for maybe the first time this season as well.
I can't put too much blame on Frank DeBoer yet. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I can't put too much on Frank DeBoer yet because of the players that have been brought in. It's a different look entirely from what Almiron made this team. Pity Martinez right now, let's be honest, kind of looks like a bust. I think it's way too soon to actually say that, but that's what he looks like at the moment. That's not Frank DeBoer's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's a front office fault.
No, I think he's dealt with a lot of circumstances, particularly as a first-year manager. They're tough to deal with a packed fixture list. You went to MLS Cup final last year, so your players had 6 weeks off, if that. You had injuries. It's not. I mean, you lost Almiron. There's a lot of circumstances that would make it tough for Tata Martino.
I was going to say Tata Martino with what's going on right now, given the exact situation, he's going through the same struggles.
Yeah,
it doesn't get better under Tata Martino these last 8 matches.
I think people are, and we see this all the time. I mean, at this point of the season, you get too hyper-focused on results, and you have to look at performances and where is the trajectory of this team, because we know Atlanta United have talent, a ton. So I just think you have to sit back and have some perspective. There have been injuries. There's been bad luck. There's been a ton of fatigue with the lack of offseason and going right into CCL. So I'm not saying Frank DeBoer is immune from criticism. I think he's made some big errors, in particular not rotating early in the season when you're playing CCL and MLS fixtures. But
I will say, in the defense of the entire Atlanta United club, even Darren Eales went on radio and said, it was a lesson learned, CCL. Of maybe how to better manage that next time, and maybe we went into it with the wrong mindset, or maybe we went into it. We could have gone into it a different way so that we performed better, or understood what was at stake. I don't know, whatever. But he took some of the fault for that, and maybe not being as prepared as they could have been. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but essentially he was talking about it was a lesson learned, given that that's the first time he has been in that situation as well.
Yeah.
But look, if you're going to blame Frank DeBoer, if you're going to blame the players in the field, at what point do you start blaming Darren Eales and Carlos Bocanegra for the decisions they've made in terms of player personnel, in terms of hiring the manager? All we hear is fire Frank DeBoer. But who was in charge of hiring him to begin with?
Right. I think
you got to keep going up.
blaming. Yeah.
And I'm not there yet.
No, you're right.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But the people that are about firing Frank DeBoer, you got to keep going up, because he's not the one. He's not the only one to blame here.
That's a great point.
If that's how you feel.
If you actually think Atlanta United, with all that they've accomplished in 2 seasons, have hired a manager worthy of being fired this early in the season, then yes, you have to point the finger at the folks who hired him.
Because I can tell you right now, I don't see Darren Eales as a guy that goes, you know what, we messed up on this one.
On the hire.
3 months in to the season, I messed up on this one. We're gonna start over.
Yeah, but again,
that's not Darren Eales.
If you really think DeBoer is that bad, then the people who hired him are even worse in your mind. Let's be real here, though. It's easy to just sit back and blame the manager. It happens all over the world at all clubs, regardless of talent level. Whenever there's a bad string of results, and it's it's so we kind of knew this was coming at some point, whether it was this year or next year. There was going to be a time where Atlanta United have a bad string of results, and just like every other fan base worldwide, a large sect of people would rather blame the manager than actually take a step back, evaluate the performances, gain some perspective, and then make a proper judgment. Because if Atlanta United fire Frank de Boer now, all that
replace him with
that, but also everything that Atlanta United have done to build themselves in 2 years as a stable club that's well run top to bottom.
Out the window.
That's not exactly. If you turn around and fire a manager after 7 league matches, you have abandoned all of that. You have gone from, like I said, a solid, consistent club. You've gone from a Seattle to a Colorado. I mean, if you're going to be that reactionary, or San Jose and do
or Orlando City,
yeah. I mean, it doesn't. And again,
that's exactly the move that Orlando City would make.
And I just think it's wild to. It's not wild because this always happens, and because it's easy to do. It's easy to just blame the manager, but and one of the reasons that I think. I can't, it's just, you got to gain some perspective. I mean, I would encourage people who want Frank de Boer to be fired, first of all, to realize 2 things. First of all, exactly what you said, Eric. If it's that bad a hire, you better be blaming the people that hired him. Don't see people doing that. And then the second thing is, if you do fire him, you're saying a lot about the type of club that you want Atlanta United to be, a reactionary club. The Atlanta United have not earned the right to fire a manager after 2 months of the season. I know the first 2 years were great, but it's not Real Madrid, starting the season off poorly, who've been good for 100 years or whatever. I don't know, a long time. Atlanta United have not earned the right to fire a manager this early in the season. And if they do, then they give the idea that they are not the stable club that they really are. And it's going to make players, managers alike not want to come to Atlanta. So at the very least, you stick with Frank de Boer because you have to give the appearance of stability at your club.
Atlanta United played 6 matches. 6.
League matches, yeah.
League matches. Mm-hmm. That is barely entering the season as far as I'm concerned, especially with how quickly things can turn around.
And like we said, you played CCL, you had injuries, you had no offseason. So on top of all of that, Eric, you had so many different circumstances that were kind of asking for this type of thing to happen. And like you said, regardless of who the manager was.
Look, I'm not saying that Atlanta United is going to find a way to get up to the top of the Eastern Conference and win Supporter Shield and then make a fantastic, beautiful playoff run to MLS Cup. I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to happen. I'm not ready to give up on the entire season by firing the manager that the front office has hired.
I think it'd be crazy.
Just yet.
Yeah.
Even if we don't succeed, I still feel like a playoff appearance, giving the transition, given the new system, given the new players, it's still a successful season. I understand that it's not MLS Cup, but how realistic was it that How realistic was it that we were going to repeat as champions?
Yeah, I agree with that, but we do disagree on the playoffs being the bare.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying.
If Atlanta United are the 7th seed out of 13 teams in the East, 12, golly, everyone makes the playoffs.
7.
If you're 12, if you're 7th out of 12, I think you should still be fired. So we differ on that.
After year 1.
Yes, this team has way too much talent.
He has had no opportunity to bring in players that he wants, that fit his system perfectly, or that fit his system maybe better than the players he has now.
I say screw your system.
And you still make the playoffs?
We have talent. The game's about the players.
But at what point do we blame the players then?
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, but do we know how this works? You can't fire all the players. You fire.
Sure.
I think 7th in the East when you're coming off MLS Cup. I know we know you lost Miguel Almiron, but you replace him with one of the best players in the Primera last year from Argentina. You've got another year of maturation for Ezequiel Barquio. You've maintained your defensive back line. There's no excuse for this team not to finish at least 4th in the Eastern Conference. And I think, to me, if you squeak into the playoffs and are unable to make a run, I would seriously consider sacking the manager, because I think the expectation, and I know it's an adjustment period. I'm not saying win MLS Cup, but if you come to the postseason after the time that he will have had time to work with the team, and you come into October, November, and you don't even look a threat, I don't think Frank de Boer, by that time, his system should be implemented enough coupled with the talent on this team to be a threat. And if you're not at that point, I think you can make enough of a judgment that he's not the right fit for the job. So we differ a little bit on that.
I'll have a better understanding after a complete season.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll give him into the next season at least halfway through, or a substantial portion of the season into the second year, so that he has an opportunity to go grab players that he thinks better fits his system.
To me, I'm like, the talent is too great. Is
it though? We've seen Pitty. Is it though?
You fit your personnel in.
Is he so much of a game changer that he's going to take over MLS? Pitty Martinez.
I mean, based on his resume, he should.
Is Barco that much of a game changer on Atlanta United right now that he's going to change MLS? If Tata couldn't do it, can we truly expect Frank de Boer to figure this out?
Well, I think Barco is well on his way to becoming that player.
He's had 2 really good games. Let's get some more consistency.
You have Barco, PT.
I'm not saying he didn't have a great game.
Barco, PT, Jose. I mean, it's the same team as last year minus Almiron.
But Almiron was such a focus of last year.
Do you really think Almiron out takes you from the best team in the league to the bottom half of the Eastern Conference?
That's exactly what it looks like right now.
Well, right now, but like we said, perspective. Right? We expect them to go up the table. To me, if you finish 7th, that is or 6th, that is not good enough. And who knows? Maybe there'll be injuries, things like that. I'm always willing to say there might be different circumstances, but
let's paint the picture. Right now, NYCFC is 7th with 11 points. Philadelphia's in 4th. Sorry, Toronto's in 3rd with 13 points. That's not that big of a gap.
No, not at all.
With the entire season.
No, and that's the other thing. Like
everyone just needs to take a chill pill.
The team is going to. If you don't make the playoffs, it'd be crazy because you don't even have to be good to make the playoffs this year. 7 out of 12 teams. That's nuts. But again, the expectation absolutely should be more for me. With
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you that it should be more. But given the way the season has started, I'm perfectly fine with just make the playoffs.
Eric,
just make the playoffs.
League media right
just
here.
Make the playoffs.
League media. This is what happens. You give him free food in the press box, and now he's just a total apologist.
We still don't know when Franco Escobar is going to come back. We still don't know what the situation at left back is going to be.
Yeah,
but we still don't know if Pitty's going to figure it out year 1. Look at Barco last year. He didn't figure it out at all.
I agree. We can go down the line.
He's just now, in the last 2 matches, showing that maybe he started to figure it out. Again, I'm asking for more consistency out of Barco in his performance, and maybe we'll get that, and that'd be great. Maybe this is the start of Barco actually figuring it out. But if Pitty takes the entire year and still hasn't figured it out and still is coming off the bench,
I still think you'd finish above 7th.
I do too, but I'm okay. I'm not happy, but I'm okay with making the playoffs. Whatever it takes.
I wish Sam was here. We'd gang up on you right now, but that's the first time I ever said that.
I don't think that's going to happen, but again, that gap is not that large. But I still think that it's fine given what's going on this year. And not the expectation, but maybe the reasonable thought that after a championship year, there is going to be a bit of a lull.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe you're not the best team in MLS. Because of all the changes that have occurred.
Maybe you're not the best team, but there's just no reason for this team to be a 7 seed and be on Orlando City level or Chicago Fire level or Montreal level. There's no excuse for a team with this much talent.
Montreal level's number 2 right now. So
they're number 2 right now. Let's be real. They're not going to finish 2nd, but maybe they will. But you are better than those teams. You are better than those teams.
Someone brought this up. Tata's first 10 games, and let's just keep in mind that Joseph Martinez was injured.
Wow, somebody actually did some research.
Tata's first 10 games.
Well done.
3 wins. That's from Jenna Singleton.
Is that true? Wow.
She's our resident researcher.
So if Tata Martino was starting this season, matches. The same thing happened, everyone would be saying fire Tata.
What? No one would be saying fire Tata. They'd be blaming the players because Tata was part. No, I still think that because Frank de Boer is the new guy, he's the newest face to this team.
That's what I'm saying. If Tata was the new guy this season and someone else had managed,
I thought you were saying if he continued.
I got you. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's just I just think it's ridiculous, and it's easy to call. It's easy to call to fire the manager. It's a lot harder to sit back and evaluate. And what's funny to me? Last year we were. People always criticizing us for being too negative about the team. They're like, "Oh, we're the best team in the league," and we said, "Well, hold on, let's look at let's evaluate a little more." And this wasn't towards the end of the season. This was in May, July, midsummer. And we were sitting here, look, this team still has some weaknesses. And people are saying, oh, you guys, you just hate Atlanta United. And this year, Atlanta United's struggling. And we're coming and say, hold on, let's evaluate what's actually happened. Let's gain some perspective. And now we're overly positive fanboys, So I think that's indicative of.
I don't think we're overly positive. I think we're realistic.
Yeah, well, that's the reality. Is we were realistic the whole time. We weren't just contrarian.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything is lollipops and rainbows.
Well, no,
or dumpster fire and poopy pants.
I mean, if most people were saying it's dumpster fire and poopy pants,
I
thought I was the one that's around kids. Anyways, I mean, it's again, just get some perspective on it. And I think the whole thing with the fan base right now is.
Oh man, I couldn't.
Honestly,
this is the dumbest talking point of the week, in my opinion. Go ahead. I know you're
with people leaving early.
Yeah, go ahead. Dumbest talking point of the week. You know what this is like? This is like any other game where the opponent finds a way to score in the last minute of the match or game, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's an insurmountable lead. Yeah, people are going to leave.
I think we're kind
of. It had nothing to do with the performance. People were like, all right, well, this is done. I'm going to go ahead and go home.
When you sell out matches like Atlanta United do and you have a large fan base, I think, we get kind of caught in the bubble, like you and I, the people that we interact with on social media and that listen to us. We're big Atlanta United fans, and most of us would not leave a match early.
I can't believe it was even asked to the players. I can't.
I think it's crazy because
I can't believe it was asked.
If there's 40,000 people in the stadium, you can't expect everyone to stay in their seats to the end of the match. The Atlanta United fan base is not so different than any other fan base around the world where they do the exact same thing. If you're down multiple goals late in the match, people leave early. And I thought it was I think Atlanta United fans are learning that we have a good club, but we're not special. We have the exact same problems as everyone else. Everyone call for the manager's head after a few bad results. People get,
hey man, this is hashtag history, man.
People will leave early. It's just, it's interesting to see that type of reaction because I think we just get so stuck in the bubble of people like us who absorb content constantly, and you have to realize most of the 40,000 people in there are just to come watch some soccer and enjoy themselves. And if it's 2-0 in the 88th minute, they can leave. They spent money on the tickets. To be honest, it was a little condescending and upsetting to hear fans criticize other fans as if they had no right to leave early for seats that they, it's not the fans' job. It's the player's job to win.
You know what everyone thought in that stadium as soon as that second goal went in? All right, well, this is over.
I'm out.
Yeah, this is over.
Yeah. And I did hear about people leaving from the supporter section early. I can see that angle because, the whole point of being the supporter section is, but I just thought it was just and it does seem, but
it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with how people feel about the club, about the performance. Slightly, but only because they gave up a goal late. That made the lead. That made the possibility of Atlanta United coming back.
It's just normal human behavior.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with, man, F this team. Nothing like that. It was all right. Well, this game's over. Let's leave.
People were leaving.
To think it was anything
Old
different
Trafford early.
To think it was anything different.
People were leaving Old Trafford early against Man City when Man United were down 2-0 the other night. I mean, I just think take a step back. The place is sold out. It's loud. That's all you can ask for. If people who spend a bunch of money on a ticket want to leave a few minutes early when it's 2-0, that's fine. Relax. We're not that special.
I wanted to talk about something real quick. I threw out there on Twitter that I wanted to see realistic. Did you see this?
Mm-mm.
You want to pull this up real quick?
No, my computer's broken. Just talk. Yeah. Oh, realistic manager options?
Yeah. So I threw out a tweet. I would like to outsource an assignment for Atlanta United fans. Name me every realistic candidate to take over if the front office were to make a change right now.
Today?
Today. I got the list from Devin. I didn't skip the list.
Oh, I was waiting for Devin for real as a list.
I was waiting for the podcast. And the thing that most of these names have in common.
We need to plug him, by the way. What's his? And you can follow him at Devin for real, the number 4. Honestly, I don't mean we're picking on him. He knows his stuff.
It's the only reason we're picking on him is because he's the loudest on Twitter about this fire to Boer thing.
And just loud. Did you hear his rant?
Yeah, I encourage everyone to go watch it. Go,
it's awesome.
Go. We're plugging your stuff at LA United Fan TV. Go get it.
We are.
But a lot of these guys.
Who's on the list?
Take a look.
Lopetegui is number 1.
What happened to him most recently?
Well, first of all, do you know how Julian Lopetegui's tactics? possession.
They're all basically the same thing.
Lopetegui's that's great that he's top of the list. I think he's actually a good manager and got a bad rap at Real, but he's a possession-based manager, so that's no different than what you get under Frank de Boer.
When you look
Who else is on there?
When you look at Bielsa, which I think would be fun.
Di Francesco, it's good. No, David Wagner, I really like. Yeah, I mean, it's a good list, but I mean, come on, like,
the reason I bring it up, and it's not to pick on Devin for real. The reason I bring it up is because if you think about how Tata Martino got the job, if you think about how and the circumstances around Frank de Boer getting the job, they're all trying to revitalize or resurrect their careers.
That's true. Yeah.
And the way you do that, in Tata's case, is through MLS.
Yeah.
Coming in, new project, proving you can be successful, proving you have a system that works. Frank de Boer obviously still has some work on that. But you're trying to revitalize your career. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of these guys are coming to Atlanta United. I mean, there are better options.
I think the only one on there you can make that argument for is Lopetegui, who does. But the thing is, he plays slow tempo possession. So it's just But I mean, look. I mean, again, Atlanta United. It's been a great 2 years. You ain't recruiting top European managers on at the drop of a hat. You know, Tata Martino first of all came to Atlanta United, and like you said, Eric. Even so, he needs to revitalize his career. Frank de Boer fired his last 2 jobs, so you can't expect.
These are big names that happen to be out there that were at low points.
You should be thrilled. You should be thrilled, even if Frank de Boer doesn't pan out. I think you should be thrilled that you can even recruit a manager who has been in Serie A, been in the Premiership, had a great time at Ajax, is also a legendary player. Just the fact that you're competing at that level is great, but you're not going to be able to find a guy like that in a week or two. I mean, just look at what happened. And I know it's a much lower level than us. Look what happened to Orlando last season when they fired Caleb Porter early. And obviously they weren't going to go get a top manager because it's Orlando. But they had a really rough time finding one.
Caleb Porter?
I'm sorry, Jason Price. Jason Price.
I was like, what?
Thank you, Eric. Caleb Porter turned Orlando down. Excuse me. Yeah. So you fired Jason Price. You get turned down by Caleb Porter and reportedly a couple other guys. And you have to settle on a James O'Connor, who was the jury is still very much out on it, and was a USL manager who was not your first choice.
I think the jury's out on Mr. O'Connor.
We'll see. I'm trying to be nice here.
Look, the way you got to look at it, you got to look at it from you got to take a step back. Everyone take a step back.
Do you want to do what Orlando did last year?
Look at the overview of what it means to fire Frank de Boer right now.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting any of these names even in the room. Because what message does it send to fire Frank de Boer just like that after such a short tenure with Atlanta United? What does that mean that they're going to do to the next guy if it doesn't work out in the next 3 months?
And I think to be fair, I think if you
next guy after Frank de Boer is some no name from USL, absolutely
it could be if you fire your manager in
Tony Annan
at the end of God.
Not that Tony Annan would be bad. That'd be fun.
He's a great coach. I'd like to see him.
I should have said it like that. I apologize, Tony. That's not what I meant.
But no, I mean it's to be fair to that list. I think that's the type of level that if you have a full off season to search for a manager, I think that's the type of name you can get. But you just can't do it on April 25th. You can't. You know. I mean, and again, I ask people that want Frank de Boer to go, what does that say about the club? How do you expect things to turn around throughout the rest of the season if you make a change this early? I really think that it would just be such a mistake, and it's not surprising. I mean, it's not surprising. This is how a lot of fans react when things go sour, even if it's just for 6 weeks. So it is what it is. But if you make that move right now, even if you think it's the right one, what it says about your club and the position it puts your club in, similar to what Orlando, the position they were placed in last year, is not. It's not prudent to do that at this early stage.
I would like this name though.
Who we got? Jose Mourinho. Hey, if we hire Jose Mourinho, I will sit in the press box. I will. I am all in.
Selfishly, that'd just be fun.
No, I mean there would be.
I don't think it'd be successful, but that would be fun.
It would be something. I mean, it would be an experience. But no, I mean, I just think the simple fact that's the type of name.
Rafa Benitez mentioned here. Roberto Martinez.
He's managing Belgium. Why would he? Anyways,
what are the other names that are
I mean, the
mentioned?
names.
And I asked for specifically realistic names, and this is what I got.
The names tell you all you need to know because even
Tab Ramos, Jurgen Klinsmann. Klinsmann would be fun.
who said that? Tab Ramos, Jurgen Klinsmann.
Jurgen Klinsmann said it's from someone. Humanity is a group effort.
If they hire me as the tactician, then
At
Klinsmann would be great.
Saturnist.
Okay, well,
It's a strange
sure it's not Satanist. Hiring Klinsmann would be just that. So it's interesting though, Eric. We're on the same. We're in the same boat, but we really do. This is a disagreement we'll have throughout the year. As my expectations are still much higher than yours.
My expectations are high. I'm just
You're willing to.
I'm willing to be. I'm willing to be
than
satisfied. Exactly. I'm willing to be satisfied with maybe a lesser final standing, but my expectations are to finish.
Well, and I think
to get like at least one.
Let's present some.
Home field
you're playing Colorado this
playoff
weekend.
Match.
Okay, so before we bounce, let's quickly address the Colorado match.
And this is going to drive me crazy this next week because Colorado's going to present themselves differently than FC Dallas. It's going to force Atlanta United to break down Colorado defensively.
Yeah, but they suck.
Third.
So
sure,
they've conceded the most goals in MLS.
Sure, but it's not like playing the Revolution where they're going to. All right, well, let's
stupid press.
Let's throw
whatever
11 players out there and go.
Yeah, Brad Friedel tactics.
Colorado's at least pretty good at what they do.
Are they? I mean, they're terrible. No, come on, Eric. Colorado are terrible.
They're terrible.
The worst team in MLS.
But the one thing that they can do.
Well, they're going to try to defend.
I
mean, they haven't done so.
And the one thing that Atlanta United struggles with is exactly what Colorado does.
I still think this is a match. I'm throwing performance out the window on this one. You have to win. I mean, you don't have to win, but this is a perfect time to beat the crap out of Colorado, and then it's full speed ahead heading into a really packed fixture list in May. I think this is a match you got to go out there and win 3-4-0 because Colorado are bad. You're at home.
I totally forgot. Can we talk about how I just nailed my prediction?
You did. Blame Eric.
2-1.
2-1 Dallas.
FC Dallas is what I said. That's exactly what happened.
You were right. Good for you. Good for you, Eric.
I'm not happy about this.
I mean, it's your fault. Clearly, it's all your fault. We've just spent an hour talking about pointless stuff when it's all Eric's fault. That's the reality. I'm thinking this weekend. I don't want to come back here next week about missed chances.
Can someone make a flag?
A Blame Eric flag. Hashtag Blame Eric on the front and on the back.
Can someone make a flag or a banner or something? Someone do something.
A hashtag Blame Eric banner would be good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you totally.
I can feel the energy. I can see the energy draining.
I was just saying Colorado this weekend. I don't want to have the same discussion next week we're having about Dallas right now. Even if you win, I don't want to come back here next week and say, well, you created chances. This team is not good.
I mean,
you're at home.
It shouldn't be a 1-0 loss, a win. It should be like a 4-0 win.
I'm looking for a 4-0 or 4-1.
Yeah,
and the two things I'm looking for, obviously. More of the same in a lot of ways. Keep creating, finish your chances. But I would really like to see, most importantly, Atlanta look a lot less open when Colorado does try to counter. Because this could be the type of match where, similar to Dallas, but not quite the same, where Colorado have 2 or 3 opportunities, but they're both golden ones on the counter. So that's the main thing I'm looking for is Atlanta United obviously need to score more. But defensively, I think there have been some problems, like I said, with being too vulnerable against the counterattack, whether that be individual errors or positional, or just not being tidy enough in possession, and which makes you vulnerable to that counter in the first place. You just need to see a more solid performance defensively, and I do think the goals are coming. I really do.
I hope so.
I do too. PT starts, right? We see PT Martinez start.
The way Frank de Boer talked about Pity made it seem that. Made me think that he's not trying hard at practice. These reports that I heard that you've heard out of Argentina are some of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Oh, that he wants to go home. Right. So here's people. If you lose a few games, you want to fire the manager. If a player moves to another country, different languages, has a bad run of form, he's struggling to adapt to the culture. I promise you, dude scores a bunch of goals the next month, he'll have magically adapted to the Atlanta culture. I think that's all crap.
I just think it's funny that
And you always hear it.
I don't know what River Plate's thinking. And look, here's the thing. I think Pity is clearly not happy. I think
let's go with frustrated. I don't want to say he's unhappy.
I'll stick with the unhappy.
Like, you think he doesn't enjoy Atlanta?
I don't think he's happy being here so far.
Well, maybe then he does want to go.
I mean, I haven't seen him much in the locker room. I'm not basing this off of much other than what Frank DeBoer told me.
Well, tell us what Frank DeBoer told you.
The reports that have come out of Argentina, it makes me think that his agent is just begging for him to move anywhere else. I think this is more his agent asking someone, "Hey, can you just say this real quick?"
Frank DeBoer intimated that he's not been training well, or
so he mentioned that he's not 100%, and it's not. I don't want to speak for Frank DeBoer. I don't want to put.
No, we're speculating. Yeah,
pure speculation. Yeah. But it made me think the way he was talking about, because he mentioned, not 100%. He just got married. He was in Argentina. He came back. He had I don't know if it was a hamstring injury or something. It wasn't anything serious, but it was something he was recovering from. But he said stuff like, he's got to show it in training. He's got to show that he's
interesting. That's interesting.
He's got to work hard in training, stuff like that. And my initial thought was, well, is he? And I wanted to ask, but I just ran out of time. Is he not working hard in training? Does it show that he's not giving 100%?
So he kind of gave he has to earn his spot back.
Sort of, yeah. Uh-huh. And so that's what made me think, well, maybe this is where the frustration is starting to kind of boil over, and that he's not happy being here, and he's not happy with the situation with Atlanta United. And again, because I don't think anyone for River Plate's like, oh yeah, give us Pity back. That's not how that works.
Well, not for what they have to pay,
right?
At least.
And so I think this is more his agent just pure speculation. I think it's more his agent just saying no.
And also maybe the media just saying,
having River Plate
hearing
say
rumblings of him not being happy, and saying, oh, we can create a story out of this. I mean, you would have heard, say Miguel Almiron went to Newcastle and struggled. I think you would have heard similar rumors. He's struggling to adapt to the culture in England and all. I mean, this is just, if Pity Martinez has a good month of May, he'll be happy again.
So I don't think Pity starts.
You say no. I say yes, but
I hope he does. I hope he does. But based off what I and maybe I'm not at training or anything like that, so maybe we'll hear something. We've heard something different this week, and I just missed it. But I haven't. Based on what Frank DeBoer said last week, based on the fact that he's still coming off the bench, based off the amount of chances you created last week, I don't know who wants to hear that, but based off the fact that you did look much more dominant than you have in the past, at least in the short season. Why make a change right now? If it doesn't show to be the same thing against Colorado, maybe you see a sub at halftime, and that's Pity. Mm-hmm. Maybe you see early changes. Do you make a big deal out of not using 3 subs?
It depends on the circumstances. I thought I don't who would the third. I know that was a big thing from the last match. Who would the third sub have been? Is my thing.
The one that I wish would get more attention. I don't know why Carlton doesn't get more playing time. Because the one thing I've asked of him and the vast
you saw Dion Pereira make his debut instead of Andrew Carlton.
It seemed like a strange choice. I don't know what that's about. Like, why is Carlton not getting any playing time at all, seemingly, or at least in the situations where you would change of pace. Maybe here's a little something different. Yeah, Pereira's exactly the perfect example. Why throw him in there as opposed to Carlton?
I mean, it might be like you're saying with PT. He's just training better. I mean, the same type of thing. DeBoer clearly, based on those quotes, does put a lot of priority on how well you train and how hard you train. And we saw Tata Martino make similar playing Brandon Vasquez over him quite a few times. So, it's hard to judge Andrew Carlton, but this is the second time we've seen a manager kind of pass him up a couple times where he clearly was the option off the bench, because him and Pereira more or less are going to play the exact same role off the bench. Yeah. But as far as using the 3 subs, who are you going to bring Carlton on for?
And to think even more broadly than that, you're not subbing out LGP. You're not subbing out Michael Parkhurst. You're not subbing out anyone on that defensive back line. Or at least that remain with that last sub. If anything, you're going to sub out someone, up top. Joseph Martinez is your best chance to score up top in that situation. If you're still looking for a match tying goal, he's still your best option.
It didn't bother me.
Mario Williams is not a game changer. Apparently, and this is because of where I'm getting it from, 100% pure speculation. Chris Lombardi says, can we talk about Romario apparently saying make the effing sub at the end of the match? This is where I got the question from about the third sub.
Chris, did you?
Apparently, a camera guy caught it, and so cannot confirm.
You can hear him on the broadcast, Chris,
of the source or anything like that. But it is interesting to think that may have been said. And I mean, if you do
what's
I just don't know who. Maybe it's Romario getting frustrated that he's not playing more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's usually when you hear something like that, it's about the player talking about themselves.
I did not hear that on the broadcast. I have not heard that anywhere else. I want to make that clear. But it is something that came up.
I mean, I guess you could have gone to a third sub and tried to play 2 up top, but I didn't feel like the game was calling out for some big time adjustment.
I thought everyone that was on the field, given the subs, and I'm trying to think of who else. Because I think the only one that I would have subbed was Carlton.
But you would instead of Pereira though, so you wouldn't
instead of Pereira, so you would have still
left the sub on the board. Yeah, I mean, to me, we saw Tata Martino do this a few times as well. I think there's, you're not.
It's just another thing to blame. It's just another thing to point at to.
Yeah.
Think Frank de Boer.
And actually, that was one thing that people did criticize Tata Martino on that we kind of pushed back on was not using all the substitutes or playing his starters too many minutes. So I mean, yeah, it's a common criticism, and as we saw with Tata Martino, not necessarily a valid one because look how that turned out. I'm trying to look at who the subs would have been. You could, I mean, so you had Pereira and PT as your subs. So you had Romario, Pogba, Escobar, Alec Can, and Carlton on your bench. You're not bringing Carlton. I mean, once Villalba and Gressel come off for the 2 wingers,
there's not much place for Carlton.
I mean, you're not taking Ezequiel Barco off. The only thing you could really do, and then you've got Pogba and Escobar, who are both defenders. So maybe you could put Escobar on fresh legs for Michael Parkhurst, but that doesn't fundamentally change anything. The only less thing you have left to do, and maybe this is why Romario was frustrated, is you throw him on and you go to 2 strikers. But there's nothing, I think, super glaring that he could have done by using his third sub. So again, I think it's people upset with the results. Let's look how we can blame the manager instead of saying, oh, Angel Gonzalez-Perez isn't playing well. Joseph Martinez is missing chances. It's a lot easier to say, hey, we didn't make all 3 subs. It's
as a point of ineptitude from the manager. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, that one's not a big deal to me. And I think we go down 90% of the criticisms of him, and they're all kind of like this, is people not really criticizing him when it happened, but then being upset about the loss and looking back and saying, oh, why didn't Frank de Boer do this or this? But I think you have to, again, take a step back and say, what would he have done differently in this match? I have no idea. I have no idea what he could have done differently in this match to change the result. Because it's not,
I thought he put players in a position to win.
Yeah,
and it was up to the players. He said it. He said it in the interviews, in the press conference. He can't score the goals, and I had a feeling people were going to take that the wrong way, but it's absolutely
look. I mean,
true.
Soccer is about the players on the pitch. I mean, you could put, you could have Pep Guardiola manage Brighton, and they ain't winning the EPL. I mean, he'd look like a genius if they finished top half. Soccer is about the players on the field, and as we've discussed throughout the podcast tonight, you had too many individual errors from those players, and that's why you lost at FC Dallas, and bad luck, but not because of the way you were set up by your manager.
So yeah, again, I've talked about the block of games, and we'll wrap it up with this. The block of games being the Revolution, FC Dallas, and
Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Colorado's last step, you should get a win there. You should. I'm not saying you're going to, but you should get a win there. It should be a big win. Can Atlanta United figure out a way to unlock a bunkering?
I think so.
A bunkering side. I envision all 11 guys in the defensive third for Colorado. Can they figure out how to unlock that mess? And if they do, even after the FC Dallas loss, are we still looking at? Is Devin for real still clamoring to fire Frank de Boer?
Well,
because
he should.
Because this is where this exact block of games is where I expect things to start coming together, and it looks like it's coming together.
If you think Frank de Boer should be fired now, beating Colorado shouldn't be what changes your mind. And if it does, then you should take a step back and think,
not losing to Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, if you beat Colorado,
No, but if losing to Colorado, if Atlanta loses to Colorado, how does that change for you?
I you still can't fire him. It's too early. But I think the pressure has to really be turned up, big time. And I think if you lose to Colorado, you're saying at most you get to the All-Star break. If you start dropping points like that, because when you start losing to teams like Colorado, then you're exactly at best, you're going to be in the scrap for the playoffs. And like I said, Man United should be above that based on the talent on their roster alone.
It should. They've given up 11 goals. So I'm sorry, 23 goals.
Yeah.
So it absolutely should be. Man, I did not look at that stat before.
I'm telling you, dude, they try to defend.
The one thing that they do is the one thing they do, and they're known for, is just bunkering. And I just know that's what Atlanta struggles with so much.
Yeah. Well, I don't
even against bad
teams.
Even against bad teams. That's my concern. Is that against Colorado, they're going to bunker. We're all going to freak out because of how they looked, and they've always struggled against bunkering teams.
Mm-hmm. I still
even with Tata
get an early goal, and that all goes away. That would be beautiful. Get a goal in the first 10 minutes.
I will say the one thing that the Revolution told me is that Atlanta United at least isn't a terrible team. They go into matches against teams they're supposed to beat, and they beat those teams. That's what I saw against the New England Revolution. That's what I expect out of Colorado. You're going up against a bad team. You're expected to beat this bad team. Go in and beat the bad team.
And this is a really bad team.
Yeah.
Now
that I'm looking at it, it's like historically bad.
Colorado is one of those clubs that as MLS has improved over the last 3 to 5 years.
The most goals in the league.
Some of the clubs have really fallen behind and are amateur hour AF, and this is definitely one of them. Dude, we got to be coming back in here saying 3-4 goals. I
don't disagree.
This really, I feel, is the match where you get some frustration out, and they are going into a very difficult month of May. So this is a match that not only is it critical for your confidence, but just from a practical standpoint, if you don't get the result this weekend, you have a chance of this really spiraling, into a really, really bad string of results with all those difficult fixtures, clogged fixture list, lots of travel coming up in May. So it's very important to get the 3 points against Colorado. But I think you do it because they're just that bad.
Yeah,
they're just that bad.
Where can they find you on social media, my friend?
You can find me at JoshB914.
That is where
on Twitter.
That is where you send
Instagram too. I'm on Instagram.
Your hashtag Joshworth.
Hashtag Joshworth. And I would like a response to how much I'm worth as well.
I was gonna say no emojis, but
it could be $1. It could be
how much is Josh Bagriansky worth
could be,
to the podcast?
A GIF of some kind.
Damn it! I set that up terribly. Now they're gonna be like, "Oh, he's the only one that's worth it."
Well, you would
guarantee you I get one of those.
Team Thanos.
Damn it.
Team Thanos.
Yeah, remember he said that. He wants to kill half of you.
I don't want to. We just have hey, I could go too, man. I'm a part of this. Actually, if I could find a way where I'm not dying, that's the main thing, right? Everyone else is random. If I can make it, then it will definitely be good.
50-50 shot.
50-50 shot.
Yeah, send that. If you've listened this far, send your
hashtag Joshworth.
Hashtag Joshworth. Give him that number. Put that number on his head.
Or it could be just
like a bounty.
You don't have to evaluate worth with a currency.
Put a number on it.
It could be anything.
Put a number on it.
Could be anything. Okay.
Put a number on it.
Do we stick with hashtag blame Eric?
Sure.
Cool. So you got your hashtags. Tweet them at JoshB914.
I got my prediction right, and I'm still blamed?
Of course you are.
So I get it wrong, and it goes the other way. I'm still blamed?
You were right about Atlanta United losing from, yes, absolutely. I think you affect their psyche.
They're not listening to this
when you come out and you say, "Oh, we're going to go to Herediano and win by 5 goals." They got too excited.
If there are any Atlanta United players that listen to this podcast, I won't say a word. Please let us know, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be.
But
hopefully, they
let's be realistic.
To heart that
they're not listening to any of these podcasts.
Why? I wouldn't. No. Absolutely not.
I
think it's crazy. Regular people listen to us.
I think some of the front office staff listens.
Really?
Occasionally.
Wow, that's cool. Hopefully, they take some of our ideas.
Oh, that's a different story, but
it depends how much they're worth. Hashtag Joshworth.
Joshworth. All right. Yeah, you can find me at Eric G. Quintana. You can find the podcast at MOTS Podcast. Donate to the podcast at patreon.com/MOTS Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 232 subscribers.
right? We're getting up.
Working our way up.
Subscribe on
To
the
get to 1 million.
Are you going to be in the Gulch Saturday?
I can be.
Come. Let's. I think I'll be posted up down by faction. So
if you want
maybe Eric,
Josh
come hang out with us.
If you want Josh and I to come say hey, wherever you are in the Gulch, hit us up. That's another thing you can do if you've listened this far. Hit us up. We'll come find you.
I usually have a bunch of whiskey with me, so
he's hammered.
Don't expect substantive conversation from me.
I'm totally level-headed and sober, but he's hammered.
I wouldn't say level-headed, but you are sober. I wouldn't call you a level-headed necessarily.
You get what you get with me.
We're reaching at straws.
Yeah, we're going.
I'm tired, man.
I can feel it. Follow us on Facebook and anything else I'm thinking of.
Nope, that's it.
Invite us to podcastathons, man. Come on, guys.
And come hang out with me in the Gulch. Get bored.
We miss hanging out with the other podcasts.
I agree.
I miss Jay. Kelly.
Come hang out with them.
I want to meet the San United guys. I haven't met them yet.
I actually have never met those guys.
I watch their podcasts all the time, but
yeah, well, apparently no one likes us.
Yeah, that's us. We're the OGs. Just remember that. First and only podcast for a little bit.
You're just gonna say only. It doesn't. You literally just explain their other podcasts.
That'll do it for us. Until next time. See you later, Atlanta.
Thanks, y'all. Good night.
See ya.
Oh man, our girls lost.
I kind of want to delete that.